Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liam's Leapings. This is my channel, Liam's Lyceum, and I'm doing my weekly update. That's number 125 for the 13th of April, 2025. And I did some good reading this week. Enjoyed it. I actually got a good number of books too. I wanted to briefly mention. So, uh, the four books I finished. Let's see. I have two of them physically, so I'll mention those first. I finished Black Wizards by Douglas Niles. This is okay. It's not bad. It's the second book in the Moonshade trilogy. The first one being Moonshade, which my review for came out actually this week. And I enjoyed it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. Um, I don't know. It is what it is. I'll see what the third book is like. I don't really have much to say, to be honest. It's kind of forgettable in some sense, not really noteworthy in really anyway, but it's okay. The other one I have physically is Perilous Faust, or the High Book of the Grail, and I finished this one finally. I will probably have a video up of this in a couple weeks, as the last Percival story I've read. My video is still not up, though I recorded a few weeks ago, so that should be up this Wednesday, and then maybe the week after the video on this will be up. We shall see. A lot of the older books I read, I tend not to like strictly review, especially if they're medieval books. Heck, I don't think I have any medieval book out there that has a review on the channel. So, anyways, but speaking of reviews, actually, I'm approaching 500 reviews. I'll probably record my 500th review next week, but it won't come out until end of April, maybe early May. So that's exciting. The other two books I finished this week, though, was Promise of the Witch King by R.A. Salvatore. Which, funny, another review I had come out this week was Serving the Shard, which is the first book in this trilogy, the Sellswords. Promise of the Witch King was written 4 or 5 years later, though, and it is much better. I'm very much hit or miss on Salvatore, and it's normally actually more of miss. It's more of like miss, and occasional kind of hit, right? Not a bullseye ever, right? But Salvatore can be okay. The last book I found in his series that I was like kind of okay with was The Silent Blade, I think is what it was called. Dris number 11. Passage of Dawn was terrible. And then Spine of the World was like, eh. And Sea of Swords was eh. I was a bit more kind to Spine of the World than most fans. I'm not a fan, but I'm a reader of series at least. Most fans of the series, though, are because uh, it is a series that my friend, who's now passed, was a fan of, and so sometimes it reminds me of him, and I have a hard time being so harsh about it. But I mean, said Promise of the Witch King actually does have some good stuff in it. I enjoyed it. It has some like oofs. I feel like that only Salvatore could like make, and it's kind of embarrassing. I don't understand. And he doesn't get called out for it, which is weird. But yeah. Anyways, I say that, and wow, Perilous Faust was fun as a read. It is a very complicated plot. It goes back and forth a lot, so it was not as entertaining as like Parzival or Percival by Chrétien de Troyes, or even Percival of Gallus, the anonymous English poem. So, but Lancelot is the fourth book I finished this week. Lancelot by Giles Christian, and man, this is my least favorite book I read this week. Probably one of my least favorite books I've read this year. Okay, I really did not enjoy this. Okay, well, mostly the problem was actually that I did enjoy part of it. I did enjoy it. The ending was terrible, and that is what soured the whole thing for me. So, pretty much, I was a little weary at the start of the book because it comes off as like, oh no, this is going to be another dark historical take, right? And I read the author's note that's at the end of the book actually, but I read it before the book, and he says he was mainly inspired by the Warlord Chronicles, which I didn't enjoy. I read those recently. I mean, they were okay, right? Like there are some things done in Warlord Chronicles that are better than Christian does here, but like Warlord Chronicles though is way worse on the Christianity stuff. Christian is a lot more lenient, though it's there. Is this like Christianity is like if someone becomes Christian in his mind, I feel like Christian actually doesn't care. I don't think he has a bone to pick at all. He's just basing his stuff off of Cornwell. But it's pretty much failure in the book, right? But it's really not the focus of the book. the book fails in a lot of ways, I think, or in a couple ways rather. It succeeds in making me like Lancelot. Okay, it does. I don't really care for Lancelot really all that much in the romances or in really any of the retellings at all. I'm not a Lancelot fan. He's fine in Merlin, I guess, TV show. But it does make me care, and I do like his and Guinevere's relationship that they have when they're starting as children, right? Like 10 years old, 11 or so, right? And I like it. I actually think it works pretty well. The first half of the book is fine. The very first few chapters are a little iffy, but after that, rest of the first half is fine. Then the second half of the book is when you get Arthur, and it's supposed to be this big dramatic thing at the end, right? When you have this kind of love triangle, I guess, going on, right? Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot. But the big thing is that it's not supposed to be Arthur's not just like a competitor. He is supposed to be like a brother to Lancelot in a sense, right? But you really don't get it. It's really not developed well enough at all. So it just doesn't make it work. Like, I don't care. I really don't care about Arthur at all. And because of that, the last chapter really sucks and it fails completely, right? Because you're mostly told, oh, he's my best friend. He's like a brother to me, like everything. You're told that by Lancelot, who's the narrator, but you don't actually see it. It does not happen. Did not come across to me. I did not feel it, even though I was told it by Lancelot. Also, I mean, I don't feel like this is spoiling anything because everyone knows the freaking story. So, um, so that choice at the end didn't make sense. The other choice at the end didn't really make sense. It makes it tragic, right? And like I expected a tragedy kind of going into this, anyways. But Guinevere makes a choice that makes absolutely no sense, and then like, oh my gosh, the whole end of this book is just terrible. It just infuriated me. Like I was so mad when I read it. I was like, holy crap, this is terrible. Um, and I don't understand how anyone could like this book. To be completely honest, I don't understand. Like it's lots of good reviews, and I'm just like, wow, this is garbage. You know what I mean? Like, and now I'm not like I don't dislike tragedy at all. Like, in fact, I really particularly like it in a lot of ways. I think maybe I don't like it when it's like about a romance, right? Like Lancelot deserved to get Guinevere in a sense, and the tragedy was that Guinevere's a retard, just to put it bluntly. And like, right, she isn't actually in the whole book, and then she just makes a choice that makes no sense. Sorry, and and then Lancelot makes a choice that makes no sense. It doesn't work. It really just falls apart in the second half of the book. It really just doesn't work. Um, Lots of things that just do not fall together. Like Christian probably thought they did. I'm glad it's a standalone though, because then I feel no pressure at all to read the next two books in the series, which aren't really, I guess, a series technically. Anyways, I'm hating on this book enough. It's crazy that I have a Salvatore book I read this week, and I'm hating on a book by someone else more. That's impressive. That's how much this made me mad. Okay, like, oh, goodness gracious. I said the R word on a video. No, I'll say it again. Anyway, um, but I have a couple other books that I've been reading. I have a couple over here. I'm missing one. I didn't put it over here in my stack. But one of them is Idylls of the King. T started reading Idylls of the King. I kind of wanted to read it soon, anyways. So I'm reading Idylls of the King. I'm about a third, maybe, yeah, probably a third of the way through. So I'm enjoying it. I don't have much to say. It doesn't do a lot, really. That's like super new if you know Arthuriana that much, but it's well put together. It's a nice poetry. So I am enjoying it. And then I also started reading the second book in this bind up, actually. So this bind up is two books. Unicorn and Dragon was actually the name of the first book. The second book is Conquest. So I'm reading Conquest. I read the first book in 2023, I think. So it's been a while. And this was actually, I found out, I think after I started, or maybe after I read the first book, that it's supposed to be actually a longer series. It was supposed to be about 5 books, I think, was what Abby had in mind. But she doesn't actually own the copyright to this somehow, even though this is not like for a video game or like a tabletop role-playing game setting or anything like that, right? Because she's written some IP fiction. For some reason, the person who had her write it retained the copyright, which, I mean, she probably made a mistake there, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. So she doesn't get any money from this book either, and she doesn't have any control over it, essentially, right? She doesn't own the copyright. So it does have like art by Robert Gould, which is cool. That's cool, right? He got to keep a copyright of his paintings, but Abby didn't keep a copyright of her books. So I'm assuming I will enjoy the second book. I haven't been enjoying it so far. I'm only about 50 pages in, though, 60 pages. And I don't know, like, I don't imagine it's going to feel like much of an ending. I mean, the first book ended well enough, right? You know, you knew it was obviously the first book in a series, but it had a good climax conclusion. So I do like Lynn Abbey, but like I said, I haven't read anything by her since 2023 besides her short stories in the Thieves World anthology. So decided to give something else by her a go. I have a few books on the shelf that I can get to. So another book I read, speaking of Lynn Abbey, is The Face of Chaos. I'm not quite done with this one yet. I have one more story left. I think it's by Diana Paxson. Yep, Diana L. Paxson. Besides that, I really enjoyed this. The Face of Chaos is book 5 in Thieves World, by the way, which you should read, wherever you are. And goodness gracious. So this is good. I like this a lot, actually. You know, I would say there's no bad stories in this one from the ones I've read so far. I haven't read the last one, of course. But Janet Morse introduces it really well. Necromancer by C.J. Cherry is really good. And then I think Lynn Abbey's The Corners of Memory is also really good. Hence the reason why I'm kind of reading Lynn Abbey right now. And I also started the last book that I've been reading this week is by C.J. Cherry, mostly because I read Necroman. I was like, wow, that was sick. So let's go read something else by C.J. Cherry. I have read Cherry before. I've mostly just read her stories in These World anthologies, though. I have only read one novel by her, and that was 3 years ago, I think. So not recently. And it was okay. And I do plan on getting to the rest of that series, but I mean, it was 3 years ago, so I'm going fast about it. So, but I did start, and this is the book. I don't have my copy on hand right now for the video, but it is Angel with the Sword by C.J. Cherry, and it is not just by C.J. Cherry, though. It is actually similar to Thieves World, actually. This is a novel, but it's an introductory novel to a series of like a shared world anthology series, like Thieves World, right? Thieves World does have novels in it, but the first book in Thieves World is Thieves World, and that's an anthology itself. Merovingian Nights is what this one's called, and it has an introduction of this novel. And then there's like 7, maybe 8. I think there's 7 anthologies for this Merovingian Nights. It's a lot like Thieves World, that it has really similar authors writing it. Lynn Abbey, for example, is in there too, with C.J. Cherry, of course, who's the editor of the anthology versions, anthology books in the series. But it is science fiction, technically. It is part of her, oh my goodness, Union Alliance? Union, whatever it is. Whatever the name her sci-fi series is. Her, like, broad universe is called. But this is about on a planet that is pretty much more science fantasy. It's very much more like Renaissance-esque, really, than anything. There are guns and like motors and stuff on boats, but for the most part, it feels more fantasy. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying Angel with the Sword. So I'm not super far into Conquest, or I'm a little further into Idylls of Queen. Really close to finishing The Face of Chaos, and then I'm probably only slightly behind on The Face of Chaos compared to Angel of the Sword, I should say. So Angel of the Sword, I have about 2 chapters left probably. In Face of Chaos, I have 1, if you call them short story chapters. So anyways, wow. Okay. But yeah, I had opinions this week, I guess. So, but oh well, I should mention, my class should start this week. My next class, assuming my schedule really doesn't work with it at all, and I'm really hoping that it does work out. But it's causing me a big headache, and honestly, if I just had a different job, it wouldn't be a problem. But here I am. Had my job now for what, a year and a half. I have not enjoyed a day of it. So, but it's a class on Norse literature, so I have the prose edit. And then I have the Saga of the Volsungs, which I feel like I had this, but maybe I did. And then I got the Saga of King Rolf Kraki. And then I got the Poetic Edda. And then I got this big Penguins Deluxe. I didn't even know they did deluxe versions of the Saga of the Icelanders. I actually do have a couple of these already in, like, single volumes or whatever, but it's a big bind up with all of them. So, and then I got a couple books actually from family for a specific holiday. Anyways, but Jared Unlund's Fire of the Covenant. My wife gave me this. She read this when she was younger. I don't know Really not my type of book, but I'll read it probably. So, and then I got this Beowulf graphic novel from my brother. So that's interesting. Um, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. I've flipped through it for the art, but yeah, I'm not sure. Beowulf's pretty easy to read and get through. It's not that long, all things considered. So I'll probably do that at some point. This might be the next version I go through. So, anyways, I've talked too long now, and I don't really have anything else to say. So, been really busy with translations and stuff, and that never changes. I'm always really busy. So, anyways, just with a lot of stuff. But I hope you had a good week for reading. Um, let me know what you have been reading. And if any of it has been as infuriating as some of the stuff I've been reading as. Anyways, leave from Leading Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.